What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. I'm going to break down why Tesla sold off the way it is. We have some big news that just came out. Why tomorrow is going to be very crazy as we have President Trump's tariff deadline, not to mention big data coming out again. What you should be watching for as time goes on all these different charts. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. Moomoo is an amazing global brokerage that consists of many exclusive offers. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 25 in total, and deposit $5,000, and you're guaranteed 60 free stocks. You'll also qualify for an 8.1% APY in uninvested cash, and the offer ends at the end of July. In just 8 hours from now, the offer is going to end, so please check out my links down below to qualify for all these benefits. There's only 8 hours left to get the deal. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with Tesla. So, as far as Tesla's going, okay, we have a potential left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder forming. And we got this rejection. We did talk about this earlier. And now we could be dipping towards the lower trend line, taking us down to the low 300s, and we're gonna see if Tesla could bounce off this or not. Otherwise, we are still looking quite weak. Now, I've been saying for many weeks that I expect there to be a big pullback coming as we get to August and in the August period. And right now, we're seeing SPY dumping. We tried to pump, we got a massive rejection, and this could be the start of a much larger pullback phase. We're going to see if we can try to bounce a bit here. Otherwise, we're going to ultimately be expecting more downside. The QQQ, the NASDAQ, right? We're also dumping, we're rejecting, we got a massive rejection, and this could also be the sign of another bearish continuation. And this move is dragging Tesla down. This is causing Tesla to dump as well. This is the big thing behind why Tesla is moving the way it is. The market is coming down as a whole, and that's slowing Tesla down. That's one of the main factors. So, with that being said, what does this mean for the future? Let's talk about some headlines. LG Energy has clinched a $4.3 billion battery deal with Tesla. We did talk about this yesterday. They're going to be helping to supply lots of these batteries. This is going to be very big news, and the deal is going to be running from August 27th up until July 2030. Good news as they're diversifying where they get their batteries from. On top of this, Tesla started the ride-hailing service in the Bay Area, but it's not necessarily a robotaxi yet. So please keep that in mind. It's not necessarily a robotaxi due to regulations. So Tesla is not just going to expand the robotaxi everywhere in an instant. It's going to take a while, and then simultaneously, Tesla has to essentially get regulatory approval to do this, right? In California, it's strict, right? It's strict in the California region, in the Bay Area. Tesla has to apply for permits, do a lot of different things, and they're not ready for that yet. However, what is good news, and this is what Elon Musk reposted on his X page, there's a person inside of the ride hailing service in the Bay Area, which is like the San Francisco region of California. And as you can see, there's a guy right here. He's driving the Tesla. So it's very similar to like an Uber or a Lyft. There's a human behind the wheel, and they are once again going to be taking people to places. Now, why is Tesla doing this? Because they're going to be establishing their footprints. They're trying to expand their ride hailing services across the US first. It's going to help them gain more revenue. I think it's a smart move. And then in the future, then they're going to slowly transition to make them automated. They're going to give us autonomous technology as time goes on. Now they need to get the approvals. They need permits. They have a lot of different things they have to go through. So they're not necessarily ready to make this fully autonomous yet, but I still consider this great news. Tesla did pop a bit in the morning for basically 321. But like I said yesterday, Tesla was looking weak relative to the market, so I wasn't really expecting it to run too much. I said we could try to tag 325 at the highest, and I said to see if we reject. We came just short. So Tesla, when you zoom out, it's technically not super bearish or super bullish. We're a little bit more bearish for the short term. We're dipping a bit, but we haven't lost critical support and we haven't broken critical resistance. We're just going like this, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between supply and demand. And we're going to break others to the upside or the downside. If the market dumps, though, there's going to be a risk of Tesla dipping to the downside in case we do get a big rejection, but we have to wait for confirmation just to be safe. So keep that in mind. Now, why is tomorrow going to be a crazy day. It's going to be a very crazy day tomorrow. I'm going to break down exactly why that is, and I'll talk more about Tesla stock. Well, the market's dipping as a result of big tech earnings. Big tech earnings are the main thing right now. So keep that in mind for what's going on. Basically, when you go back to Tesla right here, it's also going to be affected by this. Today, we just got Apple and Amazon announcing their earnings. Apple did relatively well, so great job by Tim Cook and the team. We have double-digit growth despite the tariff threats. Revenue's up 10%, and we have decent guidance overall, which is not too bad. So good job by Apple. That's why the share price is up to an extent. But of course, the tariffs will have an effect on their business, which is why it's not running way too much. Amazon, however, they're down quite a bit. They're down quite a bit right now because we already pumped so much approaching this earnings. Okay. Amazon's down like 7%. Despite the fact that they beat on EPS and revenue, their revenue's up 13%. Their EPS was a nice beat, but the tariffs will be affecting their business model. So for tomorrow, there's two things affecting us, at least to start things off. Apple's up 2.6% in the after hours, but Amazon, which is another tech giant, it's down 6%. So that's actually dragging the market a little bit lower right now, and that could once again open doors for more downside. On top of this, Tesla's looking weak. It's also getting dragged down a bit, so please keep that in mind. That's the first factor affecting us. Number two, okay, tomorrow is going to be Friday, August 1st, 2025. At 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have important jobs numbers. The unemployment rate's coming out. We want 4.2%. This is very important for the Fed's policies and what Jerome Powell ends up giving us. It's going to be affecting what the Fed ends up telling us about inflation and their monetary policy. So keep all of this in mind. Unemployment is going to be very, very big. If unemployment starts to skyrocket too much, it's going to incentivize the Fed to cut more because things are going to be breaking. But if not, that could also incentivize them to keep rates higher for longer. So we're going to see what happens with unemployment. And then the ISM manufacturing numbers come out at 10 a.m. That's going to be a little bit impactful. Look for some volatility at 10 a.m. once we get our manufacturing numbers for new orders, prices, and such. So the second big thing affecting the markets on top of earnings is going to be our data. Big unemployment numbers tomorrow morning, so be ready for volatility. And the third and final big catalyst for the markets is going to be President Trump. President Trump has his tariff deals coming, and we have the big deadline tomorrow. He gave Mexico an extra 90 days. Here is his Truth Social post. He said that we have an agreement with Mexico. He spoke with the president of Mexico, Claudia, and they have agreed to a 90-day extension. However, Mexico is going to continue to pay a 25% tariff on cars, on steel, aluminum, and copper. It's going to be 50%, and the list goes on. But there's going to be 90 days for them to negotiate and make a deal, so that he's going to be prioritizing like China, Mexico, Canada, and many others. China has until August 12th. Mexico has 90 days, and we may even see an extension for China. For Korea, President Trump announced that there's going to be a 15% tariff for them. So it says it right over here. And he's saying that they want to invest hundreds of billions into the US and buy American energy. That is another big piece of news. On top of this, President Trump has threatened higher tariffs on India because they are once again involved with Russia when it comes to trade. A 25% tariff on India plus a 10% penalty is what he's threatening. And then he criticized Jerome Powell. He called him too political and such because Jerome Powell is once again not going to be cutting rates yet. He has to wait on the data. So instead of calling him, Mr. Too Late, you could call him that if you want, but I prefer to call Jerome Powell Mr. Uncertainty. He's very uncertain about what he's going to be doing. He says we have to wait on the data, and he's been saying that for a very long time, so keep that in mind. On top of this, we have a 15% tariff on South Korea. The EU has a 15% tariff, Japan 15%. The Philippines, Indonesia have 19%. India is 25% plus a potential 10% penalty. And then Mexico, they're still negotiating with Mexico and other areas. Brazil is looking at 50% tariffs tomorrow. And then we also have China, which is to be determined. They still have negotiations to do, but that's what the tariffs look like for tomorrow, alongside high tariffs on automotives, copper, graphite, and many other commodities, copper, steel, aluminum, the list goes on. Keep that in mind. It's going to be a big day. Tomorrow, we also have a little bit over 313,000 of these calls expiring, and we have over 627,000 puts expiring for a 2.16 put to call option ratio, and max pains at 632 for SPY. So what's my prediction for tomorrow? Well, honestly, guys, I still think Tesla's range bound, and we don't really have a true direction yet. We're just kind of going back and forth overall in terms of the trend. So even if Tesla does dip a bit more, we're going to see if we could bounce off support and just continue this trend. Or if we lose this support here, we're going to be looking for a dump. If we break above, we're looking bullish. As of right now, I do think Tesla is going to be dipping towards the lower support off this head and shoulders. So if you're a bull, and we want to see Tesla get back above our EMAs, back above 316 to bounce. If you're a bear, you want to see this continue to fall towards the trend line. Right now, as the market is selling off, we are favoring a downside move for Tesla because, firstly, we have this left shoulder, head, and right shoulder, and the full measured move down would take us towards this support around 302. So keep that in mind. Then we have the daily time frame. The daily is weak. We're also rejecting here and we're favoring 302. There's also a gap down here around 297. We could be dipping to 297 to fill that gap. Tesla may reject. Typically when Tesla's earnings don't go as well as we want them to, Tesla does not do as well when it comes to the share price. And because Tesla's earnings were horrendous, it does not incentivize buyers to start heavily defending it at like these levels. So there is a risk of downside nonetheless. We're also getting like a rejection. So be very, very careful with Tesla on the daily time frame. The daily looks weak here. We're favoring the low 300s. So for now, my prediction is that Tesla, we might see a bounce in the morning depending on the unemployment numbers. I can't promise that. And then we're going to be expecting a move down towards these lows, 300 to 302. And we're going to see if we bounce off this. If not, we're looking for 297 for a massive rejection. So that's what I'm predicting for Tesla. For others out there, we have SPY and the others. SPY is looking very weak, guys. It's rejecting pretty hard. We also have a gap to fill on the daily time frame. All the way down here, we have this gap around 629. We're still favoring downside, okay? There's no sign that we're done with the downside. We did call a potential pullback in August. We're going to see if we bounce a bit with unemployment. We need to get back above 635 for there to be some hope for bulls. If not, expect this to dip all the way down towards like 627 to 625, and we'll see if we bounce there. But for the time being, we're looking weak on the 4 hour. The 4 hour is favoring downside. We'll see if we bounce a bit or not. And then we're looking for 627 to 625, especially with President Trump's tariffs coming out. It's leading to some uncertainty for the Fed. The daily suggests 627 is coming or below. And then for the month of August, as the weeks approach, we do have this gap to fill down here at 600. So there's plenty of downside left. We might just be getting started. We'll see if we bounce or not, but ultimately it looks like the top is in. And my prediction that the market's going to form a top seems to be correct. And there's going to likely be some downside coming. I did call that top if it truly does stay. Look at the QQQ, big bearish engulfing candle. Massive rejection on the daily time frame. The 4 hour is also rejecting. We're looking quite weak on the triple Q. We need to get back above this 567 area to push higher. If not, we're going to be favoring 560 as our target down here. And if it doesn't hold, I see 555 coming. All right, we have gaps to fill as well. We're going to see if we reclaim 568 tomorrow for a small bounce or not. But ultimately, we're favoring 560 then 555 for more downside on the triple Q. For the Russell 2000, we got a big rejection. We're looking very, very weak here. The head and shoulders takes us down to at least 216. Unless we get back above 222 to bounce, we might bounce a little bit and consolidate depending on unemployment, but we're favoring 216 very, very soon on the Russell 2000, so keep that in mind. For ES, we're looking weak, okay? We need to get back above at least 6,400 to bounce to see a bigger rebound. If we can't, we're going to be favoring a move down towards 6,335 right here, all the way down to 6,300. And then we're going to see if we could hold support or not, but we're still favoring downside towards the low 6,300s. For NQ, we're also rejecting right here. We need to get back above this 23,500 area to bounce. If not, we're going to be favoring a move back down towards 23,200. So keep that in mind as there's more downside likely coming. So for now, NQ is looking a bit more bearish. NQ and Bitcoin have similar trends. Big rejection on Bitcoin, rejection. So we need to get back above at least 117,000 for a rebound. If we can't, I see Bitcoin just doing this, consolidating, then dumping for 115,000 or below. For Tesla, like I said before, expect the low 300s. We're going to see if we can hold support. If we don't, we're looking for the gap for 297 to 295. So be very, very careful with Tesla. The downside risk is there. With Amazon selling off, Nvidia is following the trend. We need to get back above this resistance. Even if we do pop a bit towards like 178, we could reject and form a head and shoulders. There's a gap to fill at 173. I expect that to get filled. So we're expecting downside. Whether we get a small bounce or not, we're still expecting 173 on Nvidia. Even Apple's not doing that great. Like, it's trying to balance. Earnings went well, but the tariffs will affect us. We need to hold above 215. If we can't, even though we did try to gap up, we should try to gap up here. We're going to likely continue to fall for 209 or below. For Netflix, we're making lower highs and lower lows. We're continuing to reject right here. We need to get back above 1176. If not, we're looking for 1140 or below. Keep that in mind. MSTR is rejection so far. And we need to get back above 403. If not, we're favoring 390 or below. Celsius also got a massive rejection if we go back to the charts. It's been trying to hold up quite well, but for now, we're still showing some weakness. We're even gapping down right now. So unless we get back above 46, we're favoring the gap fill for 44 or below. The downside risk is still there. So Celsius is still looking pretty weak. Supermicro has a bearish divergence right here and a big rejection. We've got another rejection on Supermicro. We need to hold 58.4. If not, we're looking for 55, then the gap fill around 54, and we'll have to see how it goes. Palantir is rejecting. We're making a lower high here. We need to get back above 160. Otherwise, we're favoring a move back down towards 155 to 153. Rivian is rejecting, double top rejection. We're just continuing to fall here. We need to get back above 13.2. If not, we're going to be favoring a move back down towards 12.5. So keep that in mind. For SoFi, hold on one sec, guys. SoFi, I see this testing at 21.4. We're going to see if this holds. If not, we could be dipping a bit more. AMD is looking weak. We need to hold above 174. If we don't, there's a gap down here to fill at 166. We got to hold 174 or else 170 is coming in 166. We look bearish. We're looking weak. ARM got a big rejection. We need to hold above basically 146. If not, we could be dumping back down towards 137. So we're still looking quite bearish. Big rejection so far. PayPal is also rejecting. We're making lower highs here. We're going to see if we hold above 70. If not, this is also going to be favoring a move back down towards the 68 area. So for now, it's still looking weak. Could this be a falling wedge? It's always possible, but there's no sign of us getting back above 71. We're still looking bearish. Even Coinbase is dumping in the after hours. We need to hold above at least 350. If not, I see us dumping for 334. This low right here is going to be tested. Then we'll see if we bounce off that. Before we continue to dump, we're still looking bearish. Amazon is rejecting. We're barely holding the 200 EMA, the red line you guys see below. That's around 218. We got to hold 218. If we hold this, we might bounce and consolidate before we continue to fall for like 210 or below. For Meta, we need to hold above 780. If not, we're going to be looking for a move back down towards 760. So keep that in mind. Google is also rejecting here. We have a double top here. We need to get back above essentially 194. I'm favoring a test of 191. We got to hold this. If we don't, 188 is likely coming. Microsoft is also rejecting here. Now we could try to bounce a little bit back up towards just under 545 or so. That's where the previous resistance is before it starts dumping for 524. Looks bearish to me. It's rejecting so far. Looking at other tickers such as like DJT, it's also looking pretty weak here. We're favoring 17.25, the low right here, so it might be dipping a bit more. Looking at the VIX, for example, it's looking bullish. It should be trying to test 18. If that breaks, we're going to continue to climb. Also, when you look at the daily time frame on the VIX, we have a lot of gaps. There's a gap over here around 19.8. There's also some gaps above. There's one all the way up here at 37. There's one over here around 30. A lot of gaps left on the VIX, and there's a bullish divergence, a triple bullish divergence. That could take this even higher. Another sign the market's going to dip. The 10-year is kind of flat, after which Jerome Powell said during FOMC, but the dollar's breaking out, which tends to be a bearish sign. And crude is breaking out as well. For now, the market is looking weak. We're favoring downside. We're even seeing SPY selling off in the after hours a little bit with Amazon's earnings. Let's see what happens with the employment numbers and such tomorrow, if we get a small bounce or not. But ultimately, I am looking for a bigger pullback in August, and there's a lot of downside left. Same thing with Tesla. We're looking weak here. We could be retesting the low 300s. I'm looking for a test of 302 to 300, and we'll see if we bounce off the critical support or not, which is right over here. Will we bounce off this trend line or not? We have to be very careful with Tesla. This is all it's doing. It's in a consolidation. We're going to see which way we break. Typically, when you get very, very tight, you're expecting high volatility soon. So it's going to break to the upside or the downside, possibly the downside if the market sells off hard. So be careful with Tesla. There's also this gap at 297, so that could also be another factor. Anyways, that's it for this one, guys. Make sure you guys are ready for tomorrow. It's going to be a crazy day. I thank you all so much for listening. Enjoy your guys' day, nights, and evenings, wherever you guys are around the world. And I'll be back once again with an update to talk about how this market's looking. Get ready for some volatility tomorrow, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you for listening, and peace out.